Hi YouTube, welcome to another edition of Horror Hounds, and for this video I'm going to go through my top 10 best horror movie sequels, and more specifically my top 10 best part 2s. So we all know sequels can be very hit and miss, but I've picked out 10 movies that I personally think were really good follow-ups to the original. So we'll get straight into it. At number 10 we have Damien The Omen 2. And I just remember this movie being really cool. First time I watched it, which was many years ago, I was pleasantly surprised by how good it was and how effective the creepy scenes and the death scenes in this still were. So Damien goes to stay with another family, and the same kind of creepy stuff happens. There's some really creative deaths in this one, probably a bit more than the first movie. The elevator scene immediately comes to mind. I think this film is worth watching just for that scene alone. But on the whole, it's a really strong film. And we've got some great performances in this one. William Holden's in it, and a young Lance Henriksen makes an appearance in this film as well, and he's really cool. So this is just a film that I've always regarded as a really cool film and a really good sequel to the first one. So number 10 is Damien The Omen 2. Right, at number 9 we have The Toxic Avenger Part 2. Never going to get any serious accolades, but this is just a personal one for me. This is the first Toxic Avenger film I ever saw. It was the first trauma movie I ever saw before I ever knew who and what trauma was. So it's got a big place in my heart, and I later went on to watch the other Toxic Avenger movies. I enjoy them all. I really like the first one, but this one for me will always be my favourite. And what I really love about Toxic Avenger Part 2 is it kind of combines so many sort of contrasting things, but really well. So you have like really silly, juvenile, slapstick humour going on, but then like really extreme gore and violence and things like that, and it melds it all together in such a fun way. And when I first watched this as a kid, I can't remember how old I would have been, but it was just like one of the greatest things I've ever seen. So the movie never fails to entertain me. It always makes me laugh. I think it's really fun. So it's a film that I'm very fond with. So this one had to be on the list. So number 9 is Toxic Avenger Part 2. Okay, number 8, about as different a film as you can get, we have Bride of Frankenstein. Regarded as one of the best sequels, one of the greatest sequels out there. I like this because it still retains a lot of the key elements of the first Frankenstein film. It's got a lot of class, but it's got a lot of sort of gothic tendencies about it. It's still got like that tragic storyline to it that elicits a lot of sort of feelings and that about the creatures. Amazing performance by Boris Karloff again and Elsa Lanchester. And it kind of comes from a time where it doesn't strike me as a time where they did many sequels. I'm sure I'm horribly wrong about that, but you just didn't see that many kind of sort of major sequels in the early 30s. So it's nice to see one done and done so well. So that's at number 8. Okay, number 7 is Rec 2. Amazing movie. I wouldn't really say that it improves on the original because the original is so good, but it kind of just builds on that intensity and that terror, if that's even possible, because the first one was so scary and so like high octane. So whereas the first one focuses on civilians in the apartment complex, for part 2 they send in the SWAT team. So you can imagine there's a bit more violence, a bit more intensity to it, but it still never lets up on the scare factor, and it's a really frightening and effective film. So yeah, I really enjoy Rec 2. They still nailed it. They kept it as good as the original, and it was just really awesome seeing the soldiers fight the infected people. So that's number 7. Number 6, this may be higher on other people's lists, but I'm going to say Halloween 2. It's a really, really great sequel to the first movie. It's really cool to watch Halloween and then watch Halloween 2 straight after it, because it takes up straight where the first one left and does a really good job. And what I like about Halloween 2, you kind of hear it criticised a little bit for not being as effective as the first Halloween, for not being as scary or as tense as what the first movie was. But what I really like about it is sort of when Michael goes around the hospital and the kills are ramped up and kind of more things happen, it's kind of a cool contrast to the first one. So you watch the first one, which is a little more tense, and then Halloween 2 steps it up and it becomes even more of a slasher with the doctors and nurses being picked off all over the place. So it's a really cool companion to the first movie. I think it's really good. So that's Halloween 2. So at number 5, this is like another one from my childhood. This is Demons 2. So Demons 1 and 2 were like favourites of mine as a kid. I discovered them both in my childhood and absolutely loved them. Demons 1 I discovered earlier, and I used to watch that all the time. And then I came across Demons 2 on VHS and watched it, and it did not disappoint. It's pretty much the same deal as Demons. There's even some of the same characters in it who were killed off in Demons, but for some reason come back in Demons 2. And it's pretty much the same thing. They just move the setting from the cinema to an apartment complex, and it's just crazy, and there's lots of stuff going on. Some of it doesn't make sense, but it's so awesome. It's such like over the top 80s gory awesomeness that it doesn't even matter. And what I really like about Demons 2 is the soundtrack as well. It's got some great music to it. So yeah, another one that I discovered as a kid, another sequel that could have sort of been a disappointment, but it wasn't. It just kept the same level of awesomeness as the first one. And this is another film that I've always been really fond of and I've watched countless times. So number 5 is Demons 2. Okay, at number 4 we have A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddys Revenge, and this is my favourite of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. I've always enjoyed this one. It wasn't until I kind of came on YouTube and found that other people were fond of this movie. I thought I was the only one who really liked Part 2. I know not everybody does, but there does seem to be a group of people who do really enjoy this one, and I've always enjoyed it. I love the opening scene on the school bus, and I love the scene where Freddy invades the pool party. That's really, really cool. I think Jesse is a really cool main character in it, and yeah, I've just always found this one more fun and more entertaining than any other one in the series. This one for me is my favourite one. So number 4 is Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. Okay, top 3. So at number 3 is a movie that I never thought would kind of be on this countdown. I watched it a while ago now, but was so impressed by how good this film was, and that is The Conjuring 2. Yeah, as I say, I was really surprised by how much I enjoyed this. I thought this was such a great film. I think it's the best one in the Conjuring universe. I love the story to this one. So they use the Enfield haunting, which was an actual case here in Britain that happened in the 70s, I believe, where this family were being attacked by a poltergeist, supposedly. They take that, they add it to the Conjuring universe, they throw in a load of scary stuff, and it's just one epic, awesome, sort of scary, haunted house poltergeist story, which I just really, really enjoyed. It was a highly entertaining film, and what I like is, I like how much this surprised me. I thought I was going to put it on and watch it and enjoy it and then sort of, move on to the next film. But yeah, this one really stayed with me, and I just really, really like The Conjuring 2. So yeah, that is number 3. Okay, at number 2 we have Evil Dead 2. No doubt this will be a popular one. So Sam Raimi went back and kind of did a sequel slash a remake. It's not all that clear to me, but I like that they don't explain it. They don't kind of feel the need to give any explanation as to why Ash goes back or why there's no link to the first film. It's just Ash going back and these demonic forces attacking him again and all this crazy stuff going on. I think they really nailed the comedy aspect in this movie. It's really funny, it's really creative, it's very slapstick, but at the same time you've still got the cool looking demons and the quite intense, scary stuff going on as well. So for me, it takes the quality of the first Evil Dead, throws in a bit more humour, does it right, and gets the blend perfect. So this is my favourite of the Evil Dead series, and number 2 on the list. Okay, and number 1 had to be Aliens. So one of my favourite movies anyway. I'm always on the fence of whether I like Alien or Aliens more, but there's no doubt that this is an absolutely amazing sequel. Does everything that a sequel should do, but it's very rare you see a sequel of this quality. You know, it takes the first movie, it ramps it up in terms of action, storyline and everything like that, and it's just an incredible film. And what I think makes this number 1 is because of how good Alien was. So because Alien was such a brilliant film, trying to do a sequel to that and making a good movie is no easy feat. And whether you prefer Alien or Aliens or one of the other films, you know, to me you can't deny just how good of a job James Cameron did following up a film like Alien. And yeah, as I say, this is one of my favourite movies anyway. So number 1 on my top 10 list of part 2s is Aliens. So I hope you enjoyed that list, guys. Let me know what your choices would be. I know I've left off some popular part 2s myself, so I'll see if anyone calls me up on anything specifically, but let me know what you think. Thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for more videos.